I took a mirror and I sprayed some WD-40 on it. I had a pool of WD-40, and where that penny is what's left behind. Now, you spray the liquid on, and 90% of the liquid evaporates off. All right, and it leaves behind a residue. And I'll tell you right, my opinion of being 71 years old and working with oils and lubricants and fixing things that stay fixed, what it leaves behind, I will not call lubricant. I know they call it a lubricant, but I will say again what I said. Spray WD-40 on things to get it loose, and then come in with some real oil, your favorite oil. There was a company called Liquid Wrench, and they made a penetrating oil, and I always had a bottle of that, and I was always loaning it to people, and I didn't get it back the last time. Somebody would be outside trying to get the lugs off their tires, off the wheels, and I would give them the Liquid Wrench. I said, look, put this on. I put it on for him. I said, look, go in the house and wait a while. Come back out. I said, those lugs will come right off. And I said, in some cases, you might want to wipe the lug down because you don't want the lugs to come loose. But anyway, that was my go-to thing, was to use Liquid Wrench. And then at some point, I bought a can of WD-40. And I was always happy with its performance. Okay? I never really questioned it. Like I said, I saw guys cutting aluminum with a circular saw, and it had tungsten tips, and they were spraying it as they were cutting it or drilling it. They were always spraying WD-40 on it, and they claimed that if they sprayed it on, they would get more cuts with the circular saw or the drill. Okay, now I myself, I would do a test, or in my mind I would remember how many times I cut with the circular saw, and then I would then try the WD-40. Whether it worked or not, then I would say, okay, using a can of WD-40, say the cost is $3, how many cuts did I really get? And I would weigh in the facts. Now, I bought a can of WD-40. I told you the other day, I sprayed a bug with it, and it really took a lot of spray to kill the bug, or to slow the bug down enough that I could squish it. So I got thinking about WD-40, over the years, wiping my chain down on my bicycle. And, I'd have the rag, and I'd put the rag, the chain, I'd go back and forth on the chain, and I'd spray WD-40, and all the gunk would go off the chain into the rag. Very neat operation after I come back from bike riding. And every so often, I would put it was not Shimano, Schwinn oil on my chain. I'd re-oil it. Even though I was using WD-40 on the chain, I was only using the WD-40 to rinse the grease off. But I noticed that whenever other people use WD-40 and I had to refix the item, I had to add some oil. So, like, trying to kill the bug, and then, like I said, it didn't leave a residue on the wall. So I'm like, if there was lubricant in that WD-40, when I sprayed that bug, I should have made a real mess on the wall. And there's no stain on the wall. So I'm sitting there going, what is exactly WD-40? Now, I went to the website, and they say it does have lubricants in it. But, what is a lubricant? One guy made a comment, basically, water is a lubricant under certain circumstances. Okay? It's a coolant under certain circumstances. Okay? So I got thinking, I said, you know what? Let me get out my crappy mirror. And I sprayed it on there. And after about an hour, I'm noticing, okay, it's evaporating off. Will it leave it? Yeah, it leaves a residue, and it's not slippery. I'm telling you, do it. Do it. Don't argue with me. Do it. Okay? And then go on their website, and then draw your own conclusions. There's a lot of videos on WD-40. There's a lot of videos. Phlegm's really bad today. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that are totally freaking worthless at so many levels. And I keep getting recommended these things because my profile fits a technical person. So every wackadoodle foreign person with some wacky bullshit video gets recommended to me because the person that's recommending it doesn't realize it's fake. So when I go on YouTube in the morning, it's I always have to, I used to delete so many things because they're fake. You know, the Tesla stuff. They like to drop his name with fake stuff. Elon Musk, you know, he doesn't think that we really landed on the moon and all of that stuff. What's the other thing they like to? Oh, the James Webb Telescope. Now, you know, it's basically seeing Martians everywhere. I'm tired of this stuff, you know. And I like I said, I did the WD-40, and it's right in there with the, you know, you can argue this all day. That residue that's on that mirror right now, you could say that's a lubricant, but it doesn't feel slippery to the fingers. It doesn't. I don't know what it is. All I know, if you sprayed that on a gummed up bearing, that stuff would lubricate the bearing to get it working. Okay, but how long is it going to last? See, what I do, I would spray WD-40 like on my shed. Out on my shed, there's hinges, and they get froze up. So I go out there with the WD-40, I spray it, I work them back and forth, and then later on I come out with that bicycling oil, Schwinn bicycling oil, and I put drops on it, and it was good forever. I was WD-40ing those hinges, and they kept locking up. And that's when I started saying to myself, John, you know better. Use WD-40, get it to loosen up, and put your regular oil on there, and you'll be done. Okay? I'm starting to realize now, with my hedge clippers, I just spray WD-40 on it. I spray it off every use. And they've been going for 30-something years, versus my father, every 5 years he replaced it, he used the wrong oil. A 3-in-1 oil, some of those older cans, I don't know what's in that stuff, but it varnishes. If you use it on a phonograph motor, years ago, phonograph motors, they need lubricant. You take it apart, you put 3-in-1 oil in there, and it would varnish up, and the motor would bind. And you had fixed it for someone, now you get it back, and like that person hardly used it. So then finally, at some point, I had fish tanks, and they used, there might have been Whisper 800s. Well, I don't know. Anyway, the name is on the tip of my tongue. But in other words, they told you to use motor oil. So many drops of motor oil. Superior. I think it was a Superior 800 fish tank filter. Anyway, use motor oil. I started using motor oil, and the problem went away. So I threw out my cans of 3-in-1 oil. I threw them out. I have experience with using it. I will never use that oil again. Motor oil really works well, okay, because it's made for the most extreme conditions, and it's real good stuff, okay. And that's why under heavy conditions I use motor oil, and then I always have a bottle for the lawnmower, and then for smaller machinery, and I use the not sewing machine oil, the bicycling oil. I did use sewing machine oil at one time. Got a bottle of that. That stuff's pretty good too, if it's a good brand. All right, but I want to tell you, as far as I'm concerned, WD-40, no matter what the website says, is not a lubricant. Okay, I'll believe that when you spray that on, because it's got like a propellant. I won't say Freon. It's some type of liquid that comes out, and if it hits old oil and old grease, it's going to loosen it up. And of course, the old grease is going to start working again, so it's going to free it up. But if you make the mistake of walking away and not following up with some real grease or some real oil, you're going to be back there with that can of WD-40 again. Okay, and that was basically what I was trying to say. I have years of experience, and my memory is going now. I'm going to tell you, my memory's going. I don't know what's going on. I think it's maybe early stages of Alzheimer's, or just old age, but I would remember when I used something, what I was trying to accomplish. And you keep a running tab of what experiences with a product, when it works, when it don't work. There's other people that are clueless. They keep doing the same thing over and over, trying to expect better results, and it never happens. And a few of them I've reminded them, like, you tried that a year ago, and they look at me like I'm freaking crazy. Like, how would you remember what I did a year ago? But I just did. And I told you, I had people that would ring the doorbell my side doorbell in my house. I'd come up and they'd hold something up in the air and they'd, do you remember where I bought this? I'm not kidding you. Okay. The one guy, he worked with motorcycles and he had some not tubing, it would be, it's like a tubing, it's got a slit in it. It's for going around bezels. And it's like a gasket material. And he used it around the Harley replacement speedometer chrome thing. And it worked really good. And it keeps it from vibrating, the whole thing. And he, hold up, I said, you get that at the boat place. Boat place? Boat place? What are you talking about, boat place? I said, yeah, the boat. Now I have to go through and remind him of the boat he had with the inboard, outboard engine. The 287 engine? Yeah, that sounds about right. It was a Chevy 287 inboard motor. And then it had a linkage to a outboard thingy on the back of the boat. It was called an inboard outboard. And then he remembered, yeah, I did have that boat. I said, well, when you had the boat, you were going to the boat place. And they had stuff there, and you spotted it, and you bought some of it, you brought it home, it worked out good. You showed it to me. That's how I remember, okay? And that's one of the good things about being a repairman, is when you have a really good memory, all right? Now, in one case, we were getting in surface mount stuff at work, and this guy spent 2 days troubleshooting down to a surface mount capacitor that was shorted. And the capacitor didn't short because of the voltages. What happened was they pre-glued the capacitors in position before they soldered it. And what happened was the glue was eating through the capacitors and making it go bad. So I analyzed the whole circuit. We discussed it. 3 months go by. The guy's troubleshooting the board. He's lost again. And I said, remember the last time we did? They stared at me like I'm fucking crazy now. I said, ohm out all the capacitors on the back. Remember the glue eats through the capacitor. He's staring at me like I'm fucking crazy. And then he ohmed out the capacitors. He found a bunch of them that were dead shorted. He changed them. The board came right on. And he looked at me. He was annoyed with me. He was freaking mad at me. Okay? But I have this kind of memory for certain things. Okay? And it's starting to diminish. I'm telling you right now, I'm not as sharp. When I talk to people, you notice when you listen to my videos, I can't remember certain words. It's all part of the aging process. I'm hoping I don't get Alzheimer's. You know, I'm hoping something else takes me out before Alzheimer's. You know, and I was out yesterday at the yard sale, and all our areas out here have names: the Highland Acres, the Oaks, the Willows, Greenland Drive, Greenfield Road. All these different areas have names. And the locals will say something like, oh, the neighborhood behind the paint store. Yeah, that's the Highland Acres. Oh, is that what that is? They've been here their whole life. They don't know the names of the neighborhoods. And I found someone yesterday at the yard sale that knew all the names of all. I was like, how did you ever? She says, it's pretty funny here where they mention it's behind a certain thing that's not there anymore. I said, yeah, I caught on to that. You know, I know the names of the sections. I know the names of the roads, the numbers of the roads, and most of the neighbors are over that way. It's hilarious when you talk to them here. And the one girl I was talking at the yard sale, she says, look, she says, I just came back from college, and she couldn't remember certain things in her own neighborhood. I said, what, every time you learn something, you lose something? She's just staring at me. It's from the Married with Children, when Kelly Bundy goes on the quiz show, and every time they give her a new fact, one of the old facts goes out, and she ends up screwing up because she forgot that her father was a football hero and he had so many touchdowns, or whatever it was. But yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at the girl. The girl is actually looking at me. Decent looking girl. Cute girl, good looking. And she's just like, I just got back from college. Her brain was tired. It was funny. And you know, I keep reading more and more things, and I try to discover stuff. Like, how many people would spray WD-40 on a mirror just to see, you know? And it's slippery when it first goes on. I'll give you that. Okay. And then now what that residue. I don't know if you can see the blurriness. I don't have a really good camera. I really don't care, because if you don't believe what I'm telling you, I don't care. I really don't care anymore. You know, and YouTube has too many commercials. I'm getting tired of doing the videos. because they keep getting the same amount of views, 25 views, you know, and it's actually a waste of my time. It's just something that keeps me busy. But you know, after spraying that bug, and the WD-40 didn't work that good. You know, freeze spray. If you freeze sprayed up any kind of bug, it would either kill it instantly or slow it down 100%. Where it would just wiggle a little bit, and you could squish it. But the WD-40, I sprayed that freaking thing, whatever it was, like a centipede, but the big hairy legs, and they're like little sticks. Big bug. I think that's it. All right, that's it.